Hello, so today I want to do a little bit of a more focused tier list. Here I want to talk about Econ Augments, or augments that will either generate you extra gold, give you some rerolls, but essentially will help you to hit your board a little bit more easily. There's many different variations of them with many different use cases, so I want to try and go over those, talk about when I would want to take some over the others, and why I would prefer certain Econ Augments over others, as well as how it pertains to set 15 as it is right now. If you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe. Normally I'm doing daily TFT guides, either talk about augments or units or patch notes, but I also do some tier lists as more for fun content, as well as to just give like a general overview of the state of the game. But anyways, usually I split up my tier list by the tiers of them, like silver, gold, or prismatic. Here I'm just gonna rank them all in the same tier list, just so it's not like, you know, really spaced out and separated. But anyways, let's go through them. So we're starting with AFK. AFK I usually put in B tier. AFK, you basically can't perform actions for 3 rounds and then you gain 20 gold. Those 3 rounds are often not super important, but the 20 gold being unable to act for 3 rounds, it's not like that big of a downside. Usually what I look at is if I'm starting my game and I already am making Econ, or I have like a Crystal Gambit opener, like as long as I don't have a lot on my bench that I would be able to make Econ other ways by like selling units and doing stuff, then I think AFK is alright to take. It's a decent thing. It just gives you 20 gold. Pretty run-of-the-mill, pretty standard. But one thing that I'll talk about a lot with the current set is that there's a lot of favoring towards being strong early game, in my opinion, just because there's so many win conditions and random bullshit that people can hit. It was a little bit more particular in previous patches, right, when mech was really strong, for example, but still, if people like hit their 5 costs, or if people hit their upgraded boards, or if people hit certain fruit combinations, you can have a really hard time later in the game. So stuff that forces you to be weaker early can sometimes feel a little bit worse. That's why it's more in like the B tier and not in like the A or the S tier to me. Called Shot, this one is in C tier. I put everything in D tier to start, by the way. We're gonna actually leave some of them in D tier. I just needed some way of separating them from the other augments. But Called Shot, I don't think it's absolute garbage. It's not like the bottom of the barrel D tier. Basically with Called Shot, you set your win streak to 4. If you don't know, you get extra gold for win streaking. So the idea is that if you have a really strong board and you take Called Shot, you'll just generate 3 gold per round, essentially. It's very strong. It also gives you 4 starting gold. The thing is, you need to be win streaking, and also with Called Shot, you're basically down a silver augment. That's why it's not like a B tier or A tier, because whenever you have these augments that like incentivize you to win, but they don't actually give you anything to help you win, this doesn't help you to win. So if somebody takes, I don't know, a silver combat augment, right, they might have a weaker board, but they'll make up for it with their silver augment. You're trying to say like, my board is strong enough to basically be down a silver augment and then to win streak. Now the thing is, because it's a silver, you don't actually have to win that many rounds for this to be valuable. I think if you win 3 rounds, it's like on par or better than a lot of the other silver augments that give you gold and stuff like that, because the 4 gold plus the 3, it works out to be like similar to Placebo, which we'll talk about a little bit later, right? Placebo 1 only gives 8 gold, so you don't have to win that many rounds. I think a lot of people think like, oh, Called Shot, I have to win streak all of stage 2 for it to be valuable. That's why it's not absolute trash tier, right? Or like, I don't consider it to be like D tier bad, but I definitely would not take this very often, so that's why it's not in like the average, you know, good most of the time B tier type of ranking. Crafting, whenever you craft a complete item, gain 2 rerolls. This one I'll put in B tier, but I want you guys to know, depending on the encounter, this could very easily be A tier, and in some cases it can even be S tier. It really depends on how many items that you have. Now here we're counting reroll as Econ as well, by the way. I tried to separate the Econ ones, like, you know, some stuff that gives you like units I tried to keep out of here, because then it becomes really confusing. But in essence, rerolls is a form of Econ because it's gold that you don't have to spend on rolling. So if you can accumulate rerolls, you have to accumulate less interest or less gold in order to roll at those levels, right? For example, if you have like 20 rerolls banked and you make it to level 9, you don't have to have 50 gold to roll on level 9 because you have 40 gold of rerolls. Like, that's something that comes into play with some of the other augments later. But either way, crafting, if you have a lot of items to make, this actually gives a lot of value. If you think about it, in the worst case scenario where it's like a very low item game, you will typically have 3 items on your carry and 3 items on your tank, which is a total of 6 items. 6 items times 2, 12 rerolls, right? 12 rerolls is like 24-ish gold. Now, obviously, that gold is like spaced out a little bit. I'm doing a little bit of donkey math. You know, I'm like trying to like make it make sense a little bit. And transcribe it, right? But if you think about it similar to AFK, right, the downside is just that you need to make the items and you don't get the gold up front. AFK, you get the gold up front. But that's what I'm saying. That's like in a worst case. Usually you have, at bare minimum, 3 items on your tank, 3 items on your carry, right? There's very few games where that's not the case. So if you have an encounter like, I don't know, something like Scuttle Puddle. Now, Scuttle Puddle is like Econ is a different thing, but something like that, you actually can generate so many more rerolls with this. So it actually gives a lot of value for its silver. So, you know, it's easy to say that it's like A tier or S tier, but the only reason I'm putting in B tier is because just the way you have to play around it is a little bit awkward sometimes. So I don't want it to be like, you know, I don't want people to be instant clicking in and having not so much success with it, but this is something I definitely lean towards. It's closer to A than it is to C if you want to know how I really feel about it. But anyways, diversified portfolios, these ones I put in C tier. Ooh, I don't know where I put the last one. Whatever, there's 2 versions of it, one that you get one a little bit later and it gives you some more starting gold. This one, for every round you gain 1 gold for every 3 non-unique traits active. This one's all right if you, with certain boards, but basically it's similar to like Bronze for Life. You just want to play lots of traits. Units that work really well with this are mentors. If you have a mentor early, you can make a lot of value because mentor will count as one of the traits, so you get a free trait in there for free. However, I find that it's really hard to get value on it. Essentially, you're getting like 1 gold per round in most cases, but in general, it's just hard to play around. Now, 1 gold per round for a silver, it's not bad. It's just that you'd rather have more upfront gold, because upfront gold will generate interest a little bit earlier, right? If you have 10 gold instantly versus this that might take like 5 to 10 rounds to generate that gold, it's like I'd rather have the 10 gold earlier, because if I have 10 gold, then I'm getting 1 gold per round because I have 10 gold of interest. Do you see what I mean? Right? It doesn't give you any starting gold if you take on stage 2, and if you take on stage 3, it's a little bit more difficult to work with. So I find that in general, it's something that I avoid, and that's mostly because there's not many boards that you play a lot of different traits. If you think about all the current boards that are really strong, name any board that's really strong right now, right? Katarina, right? Let's just say Katarina, for example. Katarina reroll. You're playing mostly just one trait, Battle Academia. All the Fast 9 boards, what are you playing? Oh, well, you're playing mostly just like a vertical front line, like Bastions or something else, right? There's very few boards that make it work. This is a lot better when there are these really wild, flexible boards that use a lot of different traits, which isn't the case right now. It's at 15 in my opinion, so I put in that C tier. Good for something. This one is debated whether it's S tier or not. This one is very powerful. So basically, every unit that's not holding an item, 50% chance drop 1 gold on death. The 50% chance, I think, like, there's some people that have said that it's actually higher than 50% because it's supposed to make it feel better as an augment. I don't know, right? I don't have the code in front of me, so I'm just gonna say it's a rumor, but it is very strong because this one, right, we were comparing the other ones that are generating gold. This generates pretty much guaranteed, like on average, 2 gold per round, right? If you have 4 units on your board and they don't have items, which in most cases you're just going to be putting all your items on 1 carry and all your items on 1 tank up until later in the game. So in most cases, you're going to be getting a lot of value off of it. You're usually going to have at least like 4 units for most of the game generating that gold for you, which means that you're going to be generating on average 2 gold per round, if not more. And then it can even be more later in the game, which can help you to cap your board really high. It's a constant. It means like you don't have to, like, you know, do something or worry about it. There's really no downside to it. It's just something you get extra gold for free. It works out to be a lot of gold. If you try it, I find that whenever I take this, like, I'm not sure if it's just like a little bit placebo, like I said, with like the percentages maybe being higher, but I'm generating like a significant portion of gold with just this one. And like I said, there's no real downside. Now we might move it down to A tier after, I'm unsure, but I think for right now we'll leave it in S and then we'll see how things go. Fire Sale. So Fire Sale, you get a 3 cost or lower champion from your shop and you gain 1 gold. This is, I would say it's pretty good. I think getting a free copy of a unit is alright. I think for a silver, it's pretty good if you're going for a, like, Econ generation. I think Fire Sale gets better value if you push levels. On average, you're gonna generate, like, you can actually do there's a website that did the math for it on, like, how much gold you're generating. Right on stage 2, it's, like, closer to, like, 1 gold. Stage 3, it's closer to, like, 2 gold. But usually you get to play around the units as well, which is nice. So just getting a free unit from your shop, you can sell it to generate that gold, or you can play around it. So it works pretty nicely with the flexibility that you get there. The other thing about Fire Sale that's pretty great is, like I said, it gets more value later in the game. So when you're trying to cap those boards later and you push levels, you're gonna have a greater chance of getting those 3 costs. I think there's like an expected value that it works out to be above 2 gold per round on average over the course of a game. But you know, I'll put in A tier for now. We might move it down to B tier because I sometimes skip this one. I feel like depending on your spot, if you're not pushing levels, it could feel a little bit worse. Actually, you know what, we'll put in B tier because there are times where you're not pushing levels and then it loses a lot of its value, in my opinion, right? Especially if you're playing like low cost rerolls, staying on level 5, level 6, it can be a little bit harder to get like good value off of it. It can feel a little bit worse in terms of an augment. Late game specialist, this one I usually rank pretty low, but it's actually pretty good now because of how prevalent fast 9 boards are in the current landscape of the game. Basically, if you get to level 9, you gain 33 gold. In the past, I always recommend, these ones are very particular, right? You might look at it and be like, but Fenrir, fast 9 is a strategy, why isn't it A tier or S tier? 33 gold is a lot of gold. The big question is, can I make it to level 9? That's something that you always have to ask yourself, and it's not something you can easily answer at the start of a game. Now, depending on your lobby, however, if your lobby is very degenerate and everybody is just like, you know, sacking, everybody's trying to go level 9, they're all playing weak boards, they're all lose streaking, things like that, then obviously it's going to be a lot easier to make it to level 9. But for most games of TFT, it's a reactionary thing whether or not you make it to 9. Now, in the current landscape of the game, everybody just goes 9 because there's not that many 4 cost comps that are really, really high cap. So, you know, it becomes like a little bit of like a will you, won't you roll on level 8 and basically play for lower cap and guarantee placements, or risk it all for the first because the winning comps are usually going to be the ones that play all the legendaries. With late game specialist, it gives you like that option to have a little bit of extra gold to roll on level 9, but it doesn't actually help you to get there. The entire duration of the game, you're basically playing down a silver augment, which will make you inherently weaker than everybody else. It's not something that gives you gold early, so you're not generating interest or exponentially increasing your bank of any sort. You're basically taking this and saying to yourself, I'm going to make it to 9 because I can do it. And there's times where you might not make it to 9, or you might make it to 9 and the 33 gold isn't even enough to help you to roll because you're so far behind in terms of the rest of how your game went. Now, obviously, that's why I usually put it lower tier. I put in B tier because a lot of people just end up sacking, so it's a lot better now to just have this because you'll just roll way more gold because you usually can make it to 9 anyways, right? A lot of people aren't playing competitive boards for a large portion of the game, which makes it easier for everybody to just go to level 9, roll for 5 costs, and do all of that, right? It's really lobby dependent, so that's why it's in B tier. If your lobby is playing more degenerate, or you're playing in like an Econ encounter where you can easily guarantee that you're making it to 9, then obviously it's a lot better. Kingslayer, I think this one's really hard to get to work, and it used to be bugged. Did they fix it in the game? I'm actually going to leave it in D tier. Actually, I'm going to unrank it. So let me just explain. So Kingslayer, I think, is really good. It, like, obviously if you lose early and then you know that you're going to spike hard, it's really good with stuff like Crystal Gambit, for example, because you're basically going to generate 6 gold if you have less HP than everybody else. But the problem is that if you don't have that less HP, or if you have to win a couple rounds in the middle, it's going to be like really awkward in order to actually get value off of the Kingslayer. So usually it forces you to play like a sack early and then get the heavy advantage and then play around it. So usually I put in like C tier just because it feels like it's like, it always feels like all the times I've taken Kingslayer, the times that this actually has worked out to being really good has been very minimal. I feel like it's actually way more specific than some of the other B tier augments. But I think I'm going to unrank it because I remember it was bugged, and I don't remember them saying that they added it back to the game. So I don't want to confuse anybody. It might not actually be in the game right now. So I'm just going to leave it unranked, but that's a little spiel on it. Lunch money. This one is the same, right? For every 8 damage you deal to tacticians, get 2 gold. Now, 8 damage is quite a bit. Lunch money, I think, is particularly strong if you know that you're going to win rounds or if you're really far ahead. Now, I'm putting in C tier because I treat it very similar to something like Called Shot. You're basically playing without an augment to try and like push aggressive tempo, which feels a little bit weird, right? You're not taking a combat, so you're basically going to be inherently weaker than some of the other boards, and it might be a little bit of a rough sell in order to get that. But if you are really strong and really far ahead, this can really push you to generate so much econ that you just like keep punishing, keep pushing, and use it to like basically cap really high. Misconnections, I'll put in B tier. This one basically gives a copy of every 1 cost in the game. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's like, what is it? Is there like 20? I forget. No, there's I think there's like 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14 right now. Okay, 14, I think I'll put it in C tier. Misconnections, basically just 14 gold. That's the way you should look at it. But then additionally, if you're playing a 1-cost reroll, it's also extremely powerful. So if you're playing a 1-cost reroll, this will basically give you the last copy of that unit. So you can roll for everything, leave them on your board, because when they're on your board in the little question mark, they're not properly removed from the pool yet, if you didn't know that. So basically what you can do is you can roll for every copy of the unit, and then when you have just one left, you can go to Misconnections and you can pick them up. And Misconnections, you can Google it. They always spawn in the same spot. So basically you can just like collect all the orbs, leave the single orb of the reroll unit that you want. Let's say it's Kale, you can leave the single Kale orb on the board. Then you can roll for 8 copies of Kale. The last one's the hardest to find, and then you use Misconnections, kind of like a lesser duplicator where it completes your unit. That's like very specific stuff, but like I said, that's like very situational. I put it with these other C tier ones, not the greatest one. Patience is a virtue. I put it up here, honestly. S tier, this one's broken as shit. Read this augment. Each round gain 2 free rerolls if you not buy a champion. If you're basically, you take this and you just lose streak. Now you can decide on certain rounds to be your quote unquote buy rounds, right? So you can decide, like, you know, maybe start at stage 3, you roll a bunch and you stabilize your board. Start at stage 4, you roll a bunch, you stabilize your board, etc. But basically this gives you 2 free rerolls, which is 4 gold per turn. So remember, we were talking about other silvers, right? Some of them give 1, 2, or 3 gold. A lot of them just give 1 gold. This one can give you 3 gold per round if you keep your win streak. This one usually can give you like 2 or 3 gold, 2-ish gold per round, because you're not going to do like 16 damage to most players, so you're usually going to get only 2 gold. This one gives you 4. Right, it's in terms of rerolls, but it gives you 4 gold. This is one of the most broken silver augments in the game. If you see it, you very rarely should skip it. It's absolutely absurd. It is so crazy. Like 4 gold per round of rerolls. If you think about it, you can get like 20-ish. Like how is it? You get like 20 rerolls, right? Like let's say you sack all of stage 2 and all of stage 3, and then you're just playing towards a 4-cost board, or like even a 9-cost, a level 9 5-cost board of some sort, right? You're basically, if you sack and you just don't buy anything on all of your player rounds, right? And you just buy on the neutral rounds, you're getting like, what is it, 5 times 2, 10 rerolls and 10 rerolls. You get 20 rerolls. That's 40 gold, right? Imagine a silver augment giving you 40 gold. It's like, hello? It's absolutely nuts for, like, in most situations. Like, I don't know how else to stress it. It's a lot, right? Think of it as 4 gold per round, and you'll see that it's like the deficit is a little bit of a deficit, yes, but you play around it, right? You're sacrificing your HP because you're getting so much gold per round. Placebo, I think these ones kind of suck. 8 gold, unless you're making interest. I'm going to put these ones in C tier. I don't think they're particularly strong. Reroll transfer, you can't roll your augments. I think the downside to this makes it really uncommon, but it does give a lot of rerolls, right? It gives you 3 free shop rerolls, which is essentially 6 gold. So for every augment round, if you just don't roll any of them, you're going to get like, what is it? You're going to get like 6... Wait, no, it's every unused augment reroll you get 3 free, right? So if you don't roll any augments, you get 3 times 3 times 2, you get like 18 gold, right? It's actually pretty, it's actually a lot, but it just has a really bad downside where you can't roll your augments. But if you are in desperate need, or you know that you're playing a comp where augments don't matter that much, let's say like you're playing towards like a fast 9 board and you're just going to click like Econ or something very particular, this gives a lot of value, right? Because like if you imagine you don't roll any of your cards, each of those rerolls you would get 3 free shop rerolls, which is essentially like 6 gold. So it's 6 gold, 6 gold, 6 gold, it's 18 gold per augment round. This can give you like close to like, you know, like 50 or 60 gold, right? But obviously that's like a very high case scenario. A lot of times you're going to roll 1 or 2 of the augments, so it's really only going to give you around like 40-ish gold, right? It's just that the incentivized not being able to roll the augments really hopes that you high roll on them, so it's a very scary one to take. But comparing it to some of these other ones, you can see that it can very easily be in this A or this B tier as well. You know, I'll put it in B tier. It does give a lot of value. It's just a very scary augment. I think that I personally avoid it because, like, you know, I don't want to have to be in a spot where I'm rolling all my augments because I get offered too many bad ones. It's hard to say. It really depends on your playstyle and how you would rank this one, but it does give a lot of value. Your Tactician loses 20 health. Sorry, risky moves. Tactician loses 20 health, but after 7-player combats gains 30 gold. This one is really awkward. I actually put this one in C tier. I very rarely take risky moves, unless you're playing specifically, like... the 20 HP is so hard to sell. Because the problem with this one, 30 gold is a lot. 30 gold for a silver is a massive amount. But the biggest problem with it is the 20 HP. Personally, this is a personal decision. You can argue it, right? It really depends on the set. In set 15, there are so many bullshit win conditions. Somebody could just hit an artifact, and somebody can hit a bullshit fruit combination with their units. Somebody can get double trouble. You know, you can get double trouble on stage 3. Somebody could just be playing the game and they just get double trouble on stage 3, and now you have to deal with double trouble Rammus out of nowhere. There are so many things where they just make a board that it is impossible for you to beat, and the HP matters so much. So instantly losing 20 HP is not worth it. In the past, it's usually pretty good, because if you lose 20 HP instantly, it means you have priority on all the carousels. Even if you win the rounds, you get to pick good items. It has like a good win, like a comeback mechanic. You get a bunch of gold and high quality items by sacrificing your HP. So it's like a giga powerful, like, lose streak into win streak type of beat. But I just don't like having such low HP, because I feel like even with the 30 gold, even with the better items, there are so many times where you're just in set 15 and you go 8th, not because your board is weak, but because you fought some Exodia bullshit that just beat your ass in, right? So that's why I put in C tier. Now C tier, like I said, the way I'm ranking these, B tier are like average, like generically good, like you can take them and not really feel too bad about them, and usually they're good. It's just you have to think about it a little bit. Everything above that is like very good, that you just like often just click because it's just like broken or really nice. But C tier is like, they're specific, but they can still be good, right? Econ is always something that can be good. That's like the main point that I'm trying to make in this video. You can always hit an Econ augment, and if you need Econ, it's going to be good, right? If you need to, like, because that Econ is how you manage everything in the game. It's how you roll, how you level, how you buy units. Everything that you interact with the game revolves around having Econ. So from your spot, any of these can be broken, right? Even Placebo, right? So, you know, I'm just saying, like, I would generally avoid it if I had other options, because that's what C tier is kind of meaning here. Rolling for days is just a good amount of gold. 11 free shop rerolls, 22 gold. Bang, 22 gold for free. I put this in A tier. A lot of comps, you can just take it. If you need Econ, it's just a great source of Econ, right? You just take it. You can either use those rolls now if you're doing reroll, or you can use them later. It's just 22 gold straight up, right? 22 gold that you can just hold on to. For a silver, pretty good, right? With no real downside either, right? It's not like if you compare it, AFK gives you 20 gold, but you can't perform action, so it makes it a little bit hard in your early game, right? This one, you have to sack, you get 30 gold, but you have to sack 20 HP, right? It's like, you know, for just raw 22 gold, no questions asked, I put in A tier. Silver Spoon, gain 10 XP. I put this in B tier. 10 XP is basically just 10 gold, but it allows you to have better shops, and it often helps you to win streak, because you're essentially going to be playing with an extra unit on your board for a lot of the early game. I don't think it's particular, or maybe I'll put in like C tier actually. It's only 10 gold, that's the thing, right? You can easily just get something that gives you like around 10 gold. Like Placebo gives you 8 gold, right? It just gives you 2 gold less. I think there's like an illusion that this one's really powerful, because it basically like allows you to be level 5 a lot earlier, but past the first 3 or 4 rounds, you're not really that far ahead on XP, which is why I kind of don't think of it crazy strong. Spoils of War, I think the loot cash outs that Spoil of War gives you is so dog shit, and this is an augment that you need to be strong in order to make use of. I think that unless you're playing something that spikes really aggressively early in the game, something like a reroll comp or anything like that, I would just keep this in D tier. I think this one's pretty shit. Same with Survivor. 3 players are eliminated, you get 92 gold. You're basically trying to outlive 3 people without having a silver augment. This is very risky. There's no way you can know if this is going to cash out or not. Even if you have the strongest board in the world on stage 2, there's no telling, especially with set 15 mechanics that I was talking about before, where people can just hit win conditions. There's almost zero chance you'll be able to predict whether or not you can cash this out or not. It's a pure gamble, a pure coin flip. I put in D tier. I just don't think it's worth ever. I would probably never click this personally. Team building, I put these ones because they give you duplicators. I think this one's like C tier. I think unless you really need the duplicators, it's not that flexible, it's not that great, and it doesn't give you that much value, so I would put it kind of like over here in C. Magic roll, This one I put, I'll put it in B tier. You just have to be like it gives you Econ sometimes, but it's like a risky one, so you just have to like make sure that you have the right spot for it. And make sure that you're willing to accept the other cash outs. Honestly, I think there's less Econ cash outs with this, so I'm actually gonna take it off the list because most of the cash outs aren't Econ now that I think about it. So I think it's more like when you take it, you're more okay with like the combat options as well. I put the shimmer scales. I'll just put one of them on the tier list just to not make it too confusing. But all the shimmers basically get shimmer scale item. I put this in B tier. If you have a unit that can use the shimmer scale item, these can generate a lot of Econ very fast. If you don't have a unit that can use the items, that's a little bit awkward. It is nice that it is in the form of an item, but there's like a trade-off to that in that the unit has to be alive and has to pair with the item really well, and your other items have to pair with the item in order to make the Econ generation good. But if you are able to use that item in a meaningful way on your board, then you also get an item with the Econ, which works really nicely, right? You're generating gold while also having an item that can be somewhat passable, somewhat serviceable of an item on a unit. So I put in B tier. You just have to have the spot where the unit likes it. Calculated loss. This one is S tier for sure. This one's broken. This is basically a lose streak augment. So you want to play lose streak into some like Giga win out or Giga first kind of comp. But basically you get 2 gold and a free shop reroll after losing your combat. If you compare it to something though, like Patience of Virtue. Patience of Virtue gives you 2 free rerolls, right? Now this one, it doesn't give you it in the form of rerolls. It gives you 2 gold and a free shop reroll. So you might say, well, Patience of Virtue is a silver augment and this is a gold augment. How can they be in the same tier? Well, the thing with calculated loss is that the 2 gold per round is actually pretty substantial because it allows you to make interest as well, right? As broken as Patience of Virtue is in its own right, the rerolls don't help you to generate more gold. The calculated loss makes it very easy for you to make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You are making 50 gold faster than anybody else in the lobby, and you're accumulating a bunch of rerolls on top of that. The interest allows you to stockpile because now you're earning more gold per round as well. It's absolutely busted. It's insanely good. It just forces you to lose streak. And that's the thing, right? Like, I always say, like, hey, if you're in set 15, lose streaking isn't that great. I talk about it in some of the other augments. The problem is with these ones, they give you such an advantage in terms of the econ that it gives you that I'm willing to take that sacrifice. I'm willing to take that risk because this can often set you up to have the most insane spot ever, right? A lot of times, calculated loss, you would see it be played with something that is really aggressive win condition on level 8. So calculated loss, for example, in the last couple of patches has been like an Ash related board, right? Because you can roll like 100,000 gold on level 8, hit Ash 2, hit everything upgraded, be stronger than everybody else, and then rely on the Crystal Gambit cash outs, the 5 Crystal Gambit cash outs to spike you and allow you to win out from there. Because as long as you win out on stage 4, you're going to be up so many resources from 5 Crystal Gambit that you're probably going to be broken. You're probably going to be in a broken spot. But it can also be used to fast 9. But usually in those cases, you really need to have another augment that kind of helps you to get there, or like a high econ encounter. Clear Mind, I put, Clear Mind, I usually do this, by the way. Clear Mind, Clutter Mind, basically this one you have to have no units on your bench, and then you get 3 XP per round. This one you have to have a full bench, and it gives you 3 XP per round. I feel like both of these, ooh, I'm kind of running out of space, though. I think I need like another tier. We might order the A tier after. But basically, these give you 3 XP per round, which essentially is like 3 gold per round. It's pretty good value for a gold augment. It's just that usually you have to have, like you have the downsides of either filling up your bench with 3 units or having no units on your bench. But I think compared to some of the other gold augments, I think these ones would definitely be up there. Usually I put them closer to like, we might move them around a little bit. We'll see. Epoch, I think that just doesn't, I think the epochs don't give you enough value. They give you a little bit of XP, so XP is like gold, so 8 XP and 3 rerolls, and then in the regular case, it's 4 XP and 2 rerolls. I think Epoch Plus is, I think, a little bit better, but it's hard to say. It just maths out a little bit better, because this one, by stage 4, you would only have, you'd have 6 rerolls and 12 XP, and this one you would have 16 XP and 6 rerolls, so it's like it works out to be better Epoch Plus. But either way, I just find that it's not that much in terms of its value that it gives you, right? If you're comparing it on stage 4, you would have 16 gold plus 6, sorry, I just did the math, 6 rerolls and 16 gold in Epoch Plus's case. I might move this one down, actually. I will put this one in C tier. What is it? It would be 6 reroll, so 12 gold plus 16. It would be like 30-ish gold for a gold augment, right? I feel like a lot of the other ones give similar, if not more than that, like especially Calculated Loss and Patience, as well as Cluttered Mind, Clear Mind. Hard to say, though. Hard to say. Explosive Growth. These ones, I usually put them in the same spot, right? It's hard to gauge them because now we're getting to like nitty gritties, right? Explosive Growth and Explosive Growth Plus, I think these only occur on stage 3 augment choice and stage 4 augment choice respectively, right? It is a lot of XP, right? It's 44 XP, and in this case it's also how do I phrase it? It's 32 XP. The problem is, like, Explosive Growth I think is really good if you're trying to play like a level 8 board. You obviously get to level 8 a lot faster. It helps out quite a bit. Explosive Growth Plus, even though it gives you 44 XP, it's really just trying to set you up to make it to level 9, which might not be a feasibility because you might have to roll really aggressively on level 8, right? This doesn't help you to get somewhere because you're getting on stage 4. So it's like those late game cap XP ones, which is really awkward because usually you're trying to spike your board on stage 4 in order to be really strong. So, you know, I feel like they're both situational for that reason, right? I think it's just the timing of it, right? If there was a version of Explosive Growth that was like stage 2 and stage 3, for example, then it makes a lot more sense because then you're like setting yourself up early game to find those units to set yourself into a really powerful spot. But I feel like the timing of them, it usually feels like you're just using it to like kind of sack and gain the XP, which makes it feel a lot worse than some of the other augments because you're not getting it on stage 2, right? Having the XP on stage 2 helps a lot because you're like stage 2 fights often are decided by how many units are on the board because the boards are so weak, right? Explosive Growth on stage 3, for example, you're usually not going to be like far ahead of anybody else with this anyways. It's going to help your Econ to make your level 8 roll down a lot better. That's why I say it's like decent. It's like pretty good on in that regard. But like on stage 3, if you're trying to win rounds, you're trying to save HP, you can alternatively just take either another Econ or a combat augment at that point and set yourself up a little bit better, right? It's not something that occurs on both of these don't occur on stage 2, right? It's not like these ones, right, where they establish you really powerful early games, or they generate your Econ earlier, which allows you to generate interest earlier, which allows you to set up your bank a lot better, right? Like with Clear Mind, you don't have to use that, you don't have to use gold on stage 2 to level, so you get access to better shops while still being able to make interest, right? That's not the same case with Explosive Growth and Explosive Growth Plus, right? They're mostly just there to kind of like, oh, I'm gonna sack the next 4 rounds, and then I'm going to try and level after that. So it makes them a little bit more particular, even though they give you a lot of XP, but I think that they're pretty balanced, right? That's why I put them in B tier. They're like solid, but they're not like broken. It's not like you see it, it's like, oh shit, I hit it, I click it instantly, 44 gold, GG. It doesn't quite, this one's something that's like maybe a little bit more opinionated in my take, but it's just something that feels a little bit different because of the synergies with like the tempo of how you would take it at a different point in the game, if that makes sense. Forward thinking, this one is busted. We'll put an S tier. 70 gold. The fuck? Exactly, right? Next. Gold for dummies. Every 10 seconds, all training dummies grant 1 gold. I think this one's pretty lame. I find this one's really hard to play around because it's really hard to keep the dummy alive unless you have a particular spot to keep it alive. So I usually put this one in C tier, but that might be a me thing. Golden Guillotine, this one's dog shit. It's like worst spoils of war. I put it in D tier, right? You'd never really play deep into Executioners, and because that's just not a comp in the current set. Like you never play like 5 Executioner Katarina or 5 Executioner Callista or some bullshit like that. It is so hard to get cash outs with this, and it's so hard to get like good cash outs. It's just such a grief. It's not worth it. Hard bargain. This one gives you HP as well. So you get 9 gold every carousel and 4 player health. It's pretty good. I would say that you would take this if you're trying to play specifically around lose streaking, because you don't get to choose your carousel rewards. So I would say it's a little bit more particular. I would put in C tier. But usually you play this either if you're lose streaking like a Crystal Gambit and allows you to like more easily play around that, or you take it when you're win streaking because you're not going to be able to get a good item on carousel anyways because you're last pick. So if you have a really strong board, this just allows you to have more HP and more gold to play around that can allow you to like fast 9 from a spot where you're playing tempo and you're really far ahead. But other than that, I think that it's usually like not being like, if you're middle of the pack, you're never clicking this, right? You're either clicking this if you're full lose streak or full win streak. And if you're full lose streak, it's a little bit of a grief because you don't get to fix your items. So you're really hoping your items work out by other means. And if you're win streaking, then it's like, then it's good because you're not picking your items anyways. So I put in C tier because like generally I think that like think about it, if there's 8 players in a lobby, the times I would take this is if I'm the 1st or the 8th. You know what I mean? If I'm 6 out of the 8 times that I'm in the lobby, I'm not the win streaker and I'm not the lose streaker. So I don't think it's good in a mixed streak, because you're losing your ability to choose your components, choose your units, choose like even late game. One of the things people never talk about with hard bargain is like stage 6 or stage 5 or stage 6, excuse me, right? Like there's so many times where it's like you take this and then like stage 5, you're like, oh yay, there's that 5 cost I need on carousel, and guess what? It doesn't matter what your HP is, you still can't select your unit. This is a permanent for the rest of the game type of thing. That's why I put in C tier. It's very, you really need to be in a good spot to take this, where you really don't care. Heroic grab bag. So I'm only gonna rank one of these. I'm treating this one as an econ augment for 2 reasons. Number 1, it gives you 2 lesser duplicators, and number 2, it gives you 7 gold. For me, I put this in A tier. Now this one's gonna be a bit of a hot take, but allow me to explain. I made a separate video on this. Like it's on my channel, right? You can look it up, right? Like heroic. Pretty sure I did. It's somewhere on my channel. I did a full video on it very recently when I was doing these augment guides. I just love this augment because basically what you do with it a lot of the times, like you don't necessarily have to. Yeah, I can't find it. I'm sorry. It's on there. Trust me. But basically what I do with this augment is I will take it as an econ augment because the 7 gold makes it very easy to generate interest. But the 2 duplicators you can also use to generate your econ by just giving yourself a really strong opener. Part of set 15 that I like, part of set 15 that I always talk about is that I like to be strong early. If you have any 3 cost, right? For example, let's say you start the game and you just have a Swain, right? If you just have a Swain, you double dupe that Swain. Now you have a Swain 2. There isn't a single person in the lobby that's going to be able to beat you with a Swain 2. Right, you can treat this like an in-between of econ generation and combat, right? As well, you can also treat it for just pure econ, right? 7 gold and duplicators if you're playing around a reroll comp, right? Like maybe you're playing Katarina or something like that. But I'm not even talking about that. That's like one aspect of this. The other aspect is that if you can just like find a unit to duplicate early, usually a frontline unit, and just like win streak with it, now you're at a spot where you have a really good econ because you have 7 gold from the interest from the heroic grab bag. It sets up your interest. You're richer than everybody else. You have more HP than everybody else because you're winning every round, and by nature of that, like tied together, so you're stronger than everybody else for at least stage 2 or a little bit into stage 3 because you just have an upgraded Giga unit that nobody can kill. That's what usually happens if you take this and you use it as an aggressive tempo augment and not just for its reroll intended purpose. So for me, I like it better than anything else. If I see a heroic grab bag on stage 2, right, I am looking at my board and I'm saying to myself, do I have the opportunity to duplicate any of these fucks? And if the answer is yes, like if I have a Swain or a Darius or like one of those crazy 3-cost frontline units, I just duplicate and I just win streak with it, and it sets you up so much better for like your late game. It's such a great thing. I even have a VOD on my VOD channel if you check it out, where I played around and I explain it there as well. Stars Are Born, I think it's like a worse version of Heroic Grab Bag, but same thing applies, same discussion. But obviously if you're playing around reroll, it helps out quite a bit. Put in B tier for that reason. Hustler, I don't like Hustler that much. Some people like it, I don't. So not earning interest feels really awful to me. So basically, you earn no interest, but you gain 3 gold at the start of every player combat. Now the 3 gold at the start of every player combat essentially means that you're earning 3 gold of interest per turn on average, right? So you don't generate interest, but you're earning 3 gold of interest. When you take something like Hustler, it's kind of like a toss-up, but usually you want to take this when the lobby is broke, right? If the lobby is broke, that nobody's able to make interest early. Like let's say, like, you know, no gold drop early, no gold drop on Krugs, right? Everybody's broke as shit. then you get access to higher levels way earlier than everybody else, because you don't have to generate interest. You just every single turn you're pumping levels. That's like the thing. You play at aggressive tempo, you pump levels, and you hope that you high roll your shops to a point where you have like up really expensive units on your board that just like steamroll everybody for like your stage 2, stage 3, right? Like stage 2 you win because you push levels and you have extra units on your board, so you usually can beat everybody. Then stage 3 you're hoping that you high roll some high cost units. But that's the thing, a lot of it is hoping that you high roll. Additionally, when you take it, you don't know if it's going to be a super low econ encounter, right? You don't know if Krugs is going to drop 0 gold. You'll know probably at the start of the game that, like, you know, if it's not a Braum encounter, it's not something else, then, like, you know that a lot of people aren't going to have gold, like, if it's not Scuttle Puddle. But then there's other people that like to take it when there is a lot of gold, because you can, like, fast 9 or push levels really fast, right? Like, you know, like, let's say you get dropped, like, 20 gold at the start of the round, you know, you could just, like, instantly be level 7 or level 8 and just, like, push people that way. I just find that, like, I like it when there's a huge disparity, right? If the rest of the lobby is rich, or if the rest of the lobby is really poor and I either have a lot of gold or I have Hustler, then it makes it a little bit better. But either way, I think that's really risky. Some people play with reroll as well, right? But I don't think it's that good with reroll. A lot of times with reroll, you want to slow roll 50 and use that interest gold to generate enough gold to hit all of your units. Like I said, it's up for debate. I've heard multiple people say it's good in this times, it's good in this time, it's good in this time. This is the way I look at it. This is the way I perceive it. So, you know, if you find it a little bit different, or if you want to take it, I know some people really enjoy this augment because, you know, you don't have to worry about interest. It makes things a little bit easier, less mental load and stuff like that. By all means, like, I don't know, take it more. I avoid it normally. I put in that C tier. Malicious monetization. I think this one is, like, very scary. I don't take it that often. This is like a C tier for me. But basically, for 3 rounds, every champion you kill drops 2 gold. You get this on stage 4. So basically what you're saying is, if I'm strong enough on stage 4, let's say I high rolled, I hit really hard, then I can take this and reestablish my econ. A lot of times, the only time I take malicious monetization is if I was rich enough to 4-1 send it, and I know for a fact that on my 4-1 roll down, I already hit everything, so then I can go malicious monetization, I can go fast 9 off of my 4-1 roll down. It's a very particular set of circumstances, which is why I don't put it in these S, A, and B tier things. That's where I would draw that line. Patient Study, I'll put it up here. Patient Study, it's just really good. It's a constant, you don't have any real downside to it. If you win, you gain 2 XP, so it's 2 gold per round, or 3 XP if you lost. A lot of times with Patient Study, you want to lose streak with it to get the 3 XP per round. So you can treat it similar to like Clutter Mind, Clear Mind, but then you don't have to worry about cluttering or clearing your mind later in the game, right? Because you'll still get your 2 XP per round, which makes Patient Study a little bit more flexible. But obviously, if you're mixed streaking, you're going to get less total XP than Clutter Mind, Clear Mind, so it's a little bit more awkward. But in general, really good econ, just in the form of XP. Pilfer, I think this one's kind of like lame. You get a 1-star copy of the champion you killed last combat. I put in B tier. I think that in general, you're not really getting a lot of value off of it. You're usually getting like around 1 to 2-ish gold. The thing is, it's the first champion you killed. Now, if there is a unit that has insane single target, Pilfer is a lot better. So for example, if I'm playing like a unit that just beams down 1 unit, there's been sets in the past where Pilfer was really good for that reason, because basically you can kind of like position and choose the unit that you're killing first, because like you're just gonna annihilate 1 unit. But typically with Pilfer, the problem with it, that's why I'm gonna put in C tier, is that you can't really do that. A lot of units have AoE, a lot of units have like spread damage and stuff like that. So most of the time, you're just killing the shittiest unit on the opponent's board. It's very rare that you're actually cashing out something juicy like a 3 cost or a 4 cost. You're normally cashing out some shitter 1 cost that was just on the board for a synergy that has no upgrade. So it's like really hard to get like good value off of it. Now obviously, if you're playing like a contested reroll, it might be a little bit spicy, because like, you know, if you fight your contester, you can steal some of their units, right? You know, that's a little bit toxic, but you know, it could be fun for some people. And of course, like, you know, late game, if you can beam down, like let's say there's a Braum and you just focus fire a Braum, you can just farm a Braum, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, it can be really broken. But like I said, there's not really, like, if you think about all of the broken units in the game right now, like who is a focus fire unit? Like maybe Kog'Maw. Like Kog'Maw's pretty focus fire, but then you have to grief your positioning a little bit, right? But a lot of the units, they kill everything, right? Like Malzahar, like maybe Darius, if you have a Darius, right? Like it works better if you can focus fire. That's what I'm saying. Like if you have a unit that just like does single target and nukes a unit, then you could like position your dude to nuke the unit, and you can get a little bit more consistency on generating better gold with it. But like I said, I would put in that C tier of like less common, but if I need it, I'll take it. Quiet Quitting, 16 gold in a completed item after 3 combats. I think this one's solid, just B tier. Raining gold, I think these are the most average form of econ generation, just a gold per turn and starting gold for interest. Scapegoat, I think it's a little bit better than gold for dummy. Actually, it's 1 gold per round you get a training dummy. I would put in the same thing. 1 gold per round without, it feels like a worse raining gold, right? You just get a target dummy, but it doesn't matter that much. Slamming, I love slamming. We're putting them in A tier. Slamming basically has no downside, right? You just slam all your items. That's something you should be doing anyways. So it's basically no downside, 2 XP per round, and you get a component early. Getting the component early allows you to better understand what items you want to take on carousel. It allows you to better slam your items. It gives you information, right? It's like, this is a component I can play around. I can slam my items, or I can decide what I need to take on carousel. That information to me is massive. And then additionally, it also works a lot better than something like Cluttered, Clear Mind, or even Patient Study. It's like on par with Patient Study, but it gives you a component. But in terms of Cluttered Mind, Clear Mind, you're going to lose value on these eventually, right? Usually on stage 4, you have to hold units on your bench, or you have to not keep your whole thing cluttered because you have to do your roll down, stuff like that. Slamming, you get value the entirety of the game. So on stage 4, you'll be able to make it to level 9 more easily, right? Because you'll just earn back whatever less XP you would have had with Cluttered Clear. It works out, right? Like what I always say with these ones, like if you have Patient Study, the main division I would make here, right? Like let's say we take Cluttered Mind, Clear Mind. I think Clear Mind's too hard to play around because you can't hold units on bench. So if I were to rank them, I would rank them kind of like this. I like slamming personally. Patient Study is basically these ones, but maybe like a little bit better. And then Cluttered Mind, Clear Mind. Usually when I make just gold related augments, I usually rank Clear Mind lower, Cluttered Mind maybe in the middle, and then slamming and Patient Study a little bit higher. I like playing around the component. That's why I put these ones on the same level as Patient Study. The way I would look at it, I also made this analogy before. If you're only trying to get to level 8, you're going to get to level 8 faster with Cluttered Mind and Clear Mind. However, if you're trying to go to level 9, a lot of times on stage 4, Cluttered Mind and Clear Mind are going to lose its value because you won't be able to Clear Mind, you won't be able to Cluttered Mind as easily. And in those cases, slamming will make up the gold deficit, and you'll be able to make it to 9 equally as fast, if not faster, because you can get value off of these and Patient Study more easily in those regards. So usually if I'm aiming more that I want to cap on level 9, I like these ones better. If I know for sure that I want to send it to 0 on level 8, then these ones might be a little bit better. Spoils of War, this one, solo leveling. Solo leveling, I think, is really strong. It gives you so much value. I'm going to put in A tier. You basically just win streak on stage 2, right? And you get a bunch of XP. It works really well, and it sets you up really nicely. And then the 2 item components makes it like, you know, a little bit adjacent to an econ, but does set you up pretty nicely. Spoils, we'll put it in the same D tier, same reason as the other spoils. Time skip, I think, is really good. 28 XP. Basically you just take this and then win streak. I think it's actually really good. A lot of times you take time skip on stage 2. So on stage 2, you're basically just instantly level 6 on stage 2, and then you just start a win streak being level 6 from after carousel, which is an extremely powerful moment to spike. And especially with some reroll lines being particularly relevant, you can actually do really well with this. So I like it. I like it a lot, right? 28 gold early in the game. This is different from like the other stuff like explosive growth. It's all about the timing, right? It's almost as much XP that you would get from this explosive growth, but you get on stage 2, right? That's why these ones, if we're trying to compare them on a tier list, obviously situationally take whatever you need. That's the whole point of augments, but in this case I would put it up there. Trade sector, I think this is an insane amount of gold. I put this in A tier for sure. You don't realize it, but a free reroll every turn is basically 2 gold every turn, which basically makes it like a slightly better raining gold, and it starts with 4 gold. So it's not even that much worse than something like, you know, if you compare it to regular raining gold, which is like the average. This is 8 gold and then 1 gold per round. This is 4 gold. By the end of stage 2, you're in better econ than with trade sector. You know what I mean? It's not just something you have to take with reroll. You can just accumulate those and use them whenever, right? You can use them to stabilize. You can use them later. It's just good. A tier. Too much value. If you're playing around 2 costs, I think that I put this in B tier because there's not many boards that are really great with this, but there are some that are really strong, right? The one that comes to mind, I think, is the Zaya boards, right? Because you can just play a lot of the 2 costs in your mid game and be really strong. It was also good with Janna, right? But basically, for every 2 costs that you play, let me read it. For every 2 costs that you play, unique 2 costs, you get a free reroll. So if you fill your board with 2 costs, right, either on level, like you can either play, like, you know, it's for every single whatever, right, like, excuse me, every 2 that you play. So you can either be generating 2 rerolls per turn like this, or you can be generating 3 rerolls per turn if you have like like, you know, 6 total, right? So a lot of the boards that you can fit 6 total in on level 6 and then use it for a 2 cost reroll, it's really good. But you can also use it as a general econ just to accumulate rerolls by just playing a bunch of 2 costs. The problem is there's not many crazy strong 2 cost rerolls that play a lot of 2 costs right now. Janna was a big one, but it's not as potent anymore. And then Zaya, I think, works really well, because with Zaya, your normal board is that you're going to be playing like 3 of them, and then you just shove in an extra dude, right? Like, especially if you're level 6, it's very easy to just play 4 and then just get 2 rerolls per turn. And 2 rerolls per turn, that's back in like the broken tier. But like I said, it's a little bit particular. And like I said, you could use this just as a general econ. You don't have to use it for reroll. Reroll helps, but you could play something like this, like a Zaya board, +1 unit, right? Just like, I don't know, anybody, like maybe like a Soul Fighter. Or sorry, yeah, like this, right? You can play a board like this in your mid game, and then just like use this on like level 8 or level 9 and just accumulate rerolls. It's just that the timing of it is a little bit awkward, right? There's other econ augments that just give you more value, so that's why I put in B tier. Because even though it looks like a lot, like, you know, 4 gold, you could be getting 4 gold per round, but it's 4 gold per round, and usually that's like later in the game. It's hard to get that like on stage 2, but it's particular, right? That's why I put in B tier. It's not bad. It's like, it's flexible, it's good. It's just that you need to have like a setup that kind of makes sense with it. It does give you a bunch of 2 costs, by the way. You get 2 cost units with it, so, you know, you can start generating that econ on stage 2. It's just like I said, it's just a little bit awkward sometimes to play. It works really well if you're playing around these specific rerolls, because then you're playing the board anyways and you're generating 4 gold per turn, so then it makes a lot more sense. But you know, it's not, I would put in the B tier, right? Situational. Now we're on our Prismatics. At what cost? I put this in C tier. You can't pick your augments anymore, so you have to be really, really accepting of a variety of different augments, and there are some dog shit augments in the game, so I think it's very risky, but it's not absolutely garbage, because you do get a lot of tempo, because you instantly get to level 6. So being strong early can often put you in a good spot in this game, because that's how set 15 is, so I'd put it in C tier. Expected Unexpected, I think, is A tier. There's so many of these that give you an insane amount of gold. For a Prismatic, it's one of the better options because it gives you a lot of flexibility on what you can play, and the gold cash outs do obviously give you a lot of econ. You can go through the cash out table yourself and see. I recommend it. It's like a very, like, you can't skip it. It's like an always kind of good, right? If you see it on stage 2, you don't roll it. You're kind of like, I kind of have to click this because there's a lot of bullshit that I can click, that I can hit, that might not help me out as much. So I put in A tier always. Going long, this one's very similar. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I think it's like slightly better than Hustler because it obviously gives you more econ. Being a Prismatic, obviously it does that, but also the 15 gold that it gives you now and 4 XP per round is quite a bit. It actually allows you to have a really aggressive tempo in your lobby, but I treat it the same way as I would Hustler. If I'm in an encounter where there's not a lot of gold at stake, right? A lot of people don't have gold. If I take going long and nobody else has a Prismatic econ, right? Let's say everybody misses, nobody hits a level up, nobody hits anything else, then you're in a spot where it's like, ooh, yippee. Now I can be like level 7, level 8. The whole lobby is going to be stuck trying to make interest on level 6. I get my first crack. I get the shops that get upgraded units. I can use it to aggressively tempo. Now the problem with going long, I put in B tier, is that you still need to like eventually make it to level 9. I feel like it's really easy to get stuck on level 8, right? It's a long ways to go from level 8 to level 9 without generating interest. Like, you just, it's a big step forward. So that's what makes it really awkward, and for that reason I put it next to Hustler actually. right? The level 8 stuck on is so easy because like this is just good for aggressive tempo early. So if the lobby can match your tempo, if they're able to keep up with you and you're not at like a strict win streak advantage or like XP advantage, which you don't know when you click it, right? You won't know what happens in the game, what the drops are, right? Everybody can just get like a prismatic orb and then you're just screwed because you're going long and everybody just has infinite econ, so you're just like the same level as anybody else anyways. Like those are the parts where it's like really awkward. So that's why I put in C tier, right? It's hard to explain it if you never played it, but it's like, what's the easiest way I can explain this? It's kind of like, with going long, you want to be win streaking by nature of just being better boards than everybody else, right? Let's say I'm going long and I'm instantly level 6 and everybody else is level 4. I'm basically going to beat everybody because having 2 extra units on stage 2, it's going to be really hard for them to beat me. But if everybody else just gets a huge influx of gold, like let's say they're level up or something else, and they're all level 6 as well, then it's like I'm not generating interest, but they're able to generate interest, and our boards are somewhat comparable, so I'm win, lose. It's like at that point, they're going to surpass me. And that you really feel that pinch when you're level 8, because you're going to be level 8 with 0 gold going long, and if somebody else is able to make it to 8 like a turn later, and they get to roll a bunch of gold anyways, they're going to generate interest, which is going to allow them to more easily make it to level 9, and you're going to be stuck on level 8 because you don't have the interest to allow you to constantly exponentially increase the amount of gold you're generating per turn. You're just generating 4 per turn, and they can be generating 5 per turn, right? That's where it starts to feel the pinch. Hedge fund, I think it just puts you at too much of a disadvantage. You generate a lot of interest, yes, but usually you have to lose streak in order to do that. So a lot of times you're very weak for much of the game. Invested, we're gonna put over here. These are like the bailout ones, but they just give you a lot of gold and a lot of rerolls. So you click them if you really need to, and it can bail you out. Level up, I would put in, because it's a fast 9 kind of meta, I would put in B tier as well. But usually with level up, you want to pair it with an econ encounter. If you have a lot of gold, right, let's say you're playing Scuttle Puddle, level up will allow you to very easily just be level 9 on like stage 4. That's usually when it's best. Prismatic ticket, obviously with rerolls. Shopping spree, I think is a little bit more flexible. I like to put it with trade sector. I think it just gives an insane amount of rerolls. I really like it, so I put in A tier. Spoils of War will keep in D tier. I think these all suck. Tiniest Titan is no longer in the game, but Tiniest Titan Plus is. I think this one doesn't give you enough gold for what it is. So I'm actually going to put in C tier because besides like if you need to lose streak and generate the health, I would put it in that same category. And then same with upward mobility, I would put next to level up. These ones are really good if you have a lot of gold. Because having a lot of gold will mean that you can instantly make it to level 9 with these, because it bridges that gap from going to level 8 to level 9, because every XP is discounted. So all the XP that you would need, you basically get like a 25% discount or whatever. But you need a lot of econ. So these are really good in econ encounters, and if you're really broke, then they kind of do nothing because you're not going to be able to level up easily anyways. Anyways, that took a little bit longer than I thought, but I think I just added too many augments. This is like what I kind of said, think about when I'm thinking about econ augments. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful. I wanted to make this short. I was hoping it would just be like a 30-minute video, but I think I just yapped way too much. So I apologize for that. But you know, I want to try something new with the tier list and try and like, you know, make like tier list focused on specific types of things. Let me know if you liked it or not. I might have pissed some people off because, like, you know, whenever I talk about things, there's a lot of these are opinionated as well. So, you know, if I don't align with your opinion, that's fine. You know, and like I said, everything in this tier list, like from S tier all the way down to D tier, situationally, they can be extremely broken and extremely strong, right? Obviously, if you're in need of econ, don't look at an augment and say it's a C tier augment, I don't need it. It's like if you need econ, you take econ. That's the main crux of any of these. I'm just trying to rank them compared to each other. Like in a perfect world, if I can hand select the augments, I can point to one and click on it instantly, and that would be my augment. You know, these are the ones I would click on more instantly, and these are the ones I would like have to think about a lot more, if that makes sense. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and see ya. Bye-bye.